Hi, I'm Carol Cohen, and I'm here with the Equine Newsroom. And today we have Bob McDonald. And hi, Bob. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you?
Bob is the husband of the famous Olympian Debbie McDonald. She rode Brentina, and Bob is going to talk to us today about what's going on around here. What's going on around here, Bob?
I think our main thing today is footing. We have a number of different rings and arenas that are done in several different types of footing for different reasons, so we're here to discuss footing.
So we have 3 different arenas with obviously 3 different types of footing here at TYL.
That's correct, plus turnouts.
Plus turnouts. So why don't you start by telling us what types of arenas and what types of footings we have and what types of footing you have in the turnouts.
Okay, let's start with the jumping arena. There we have what they call Master's Blend. It's a product of Premier. And what I like about it, it has 2 types of material. One that binds the arena and one that keeps it a little bit looser as far as, more so with the jumpers with the concussion. That ground has to move a little bit. So we've added 2 products, Athletics and Protec, which is basically it's a ground up fiber that gives you a binding agent. So there's stability, it has a rebound that it's really comfortable without being too hard, but it also has that forgiving that the ground can move, so when that horse lands, instead of sticking, it actually moves a little bit. So that's what we have for the jumper ring. It's called Master's Blend.
And what about for our covered arena here, which is lovely, and there's beautiful Adrian in the background, the irrigation system.
It's set on a computer so that it can add or take water out, depending if you have too much water coming in or not enough water. It has, believe it or not, a foot of sand, and it's clean sand, so you have different types of sand. It's all about the sand to start with. You have to have a decent sand. You know, you have a dead old footing or this or that. We have ways of making this better and keeping the budget in mind. This footing is a water-based foot of sand, so it acts more like the ocean. The further away from the water, the softer and deeper the sand becomes. Closer to the water, the firmer. So that's basically the system, so that it stays completely, the water level stays the same. So you just set it. You don't have the problems of sprinklers and condensation, depending if you're indoor or outdoor or hitting the walls and mirrors and so forth. It's uniform all the time. It also has what we call ArenaAid. It's another product of Premier. It's made to absorb already. It's engineered for that. So it gives a little bit more stability, but it also swicks the water to the top and holds it. So it even gives you a firm, yet I call it pliable. It has a bounce to it. It's almost like a little bit of a trampoline feel to it. Really, and primarily the water also gives you that.
And I can see with her riding, this is not deep. So it's very different from the jumper Premier footing.
Right, and even the jumper footing is not what you would call deep, but it has a little bit more forgiveness.
Forgiveness, I see. Where this has,
it's a bounce to
a
it.
bounce,
Yeah.
exactly.
So for the dressage horses, it really works out well.
Now I've been hearing about the round pen. I hear this Premier footing in the round pen is really something else. Tell us about that.
That's correct. That's also the same product. It's the ArenaAid, but we used it with a number 2 sand, which has a little bit more clay base, because you want that round pen has to be a little bit more secure, because the horse are going to be spinning, turning, and you don't want it to get too deep. So that's the product that we use there. It's also built on a drain field, so it takes the water in and out. So basically it can pour every day and it's usable.
And that certainly does happen here from time to time.
Yeah, and it's worked quite well so far. I think we had 4 inches the other day. It handled it quite well.
I understand that the Paddocks are something I have never heard of before. So the whole technology has changed from what it was 20 years ago, where you just threw some sand in a ring and put some seed down on some dirt and grew some grass and threw a horse out in it, and that was the end of that. Tell me about these fascinating Paddocks that Premier has developed.
Okay, well, the Paddocks here, we're doing something a little bit different. We're taking the same basic footing that we used in the jumper ring, but we're putting it on top of an automat system. And we've had that system for, I think, about 10 years in Idaho. And together with Premier, we did it here. And the nice thing about it is that the mat gives you about, probably close to 4 inches of footing on top of the mat. And it's compacted and basically the same consistency as the jumper ring. So they can actually play, bounce, kick, move around, and yet they don't go through to the mat, or if they do, it's at the mat. If they should, we put them out for an hour or two, and if they paw a little bit, they go to the mat, and that's about it. So it really has worked out really well.
That's right. And it's all geared so the horse does not hurt himself.
Absolutely.
When he's out in the
Yeah, they can actually play. The paddocks, of course, aren't too big. We have different sizes depending on where you started, but the footing is more or less engineered so that they can play and not tear up too bad or go too deep, so it's really consistent.
Fascinating. It sounds to me like this is a complete equine type of program geared all to the horses staying healthy. And Premier has really, this is a one-stop shop for the equine leg, footing. Everything here is geared to keeping a horse healthy.
That's correct. In this day and age now, the horse, the cost, whether it's a $500 horse or a $5 million horse, it costs the same to keep. So without the footing, it's like buying a trailer or putting, everything has to be safe. So we tried to do everything we can with the footing here to make it work. Premier has done an excellent job. I think we've been with them maybe 10 years now. And we've developed some different things along the way at home, or at Rivergrove. We started with, and what Premier does an excellent job of, is developing these additives for not just the one that can well afford it, but the person that every day used it wants to make it a little bit better for the horse and make it consistent. So they have products that you can add. We had an old ring at home that was basically dead. The footing had just become, so dead and used up. So I called them and we put together this product that they brought me. And we've used it and added it, and it's beautiful. So it can be done on a budget too. And it's just a matter of working with the sand. Sometimes you have to add it, but sometimes the sand can be used with another product to develop a much nicer footing.
Well, thank you, Bob. Thank you for sharing your experience with this wonderful company and all of Premier's great products.